Hello audience, this is your host Dennis Sytsma, Dennis John Sytsma Productions, Homestead, Florida, USA. February 20th, 2026. February 20th, 2026. It's a Friday, about 5, almost 6 a.m. on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time. And went to bed early, got up early. As much as I want to continue work on the Astro van, I have to stop on that project and work on my Honda Civics. Multitasking on multiple projects is what I have to do because I'm a distance from all of the resources in Homestead, Florida City, which is why I use online, because the traffic's horrible and I burn all my time harvesting necessities and parts for projects as opposed to working on them. So today I'm organizing, and the 2005 Honda Civic is a separate project than the 2007, but the 2005 I got a fuel injection problem, I believe, so I'll work on that first because I don't trust driving it with the way it's running. That happened all of a sudden, but according to YouTube it's the regulator and should be an easy fix. Then I have to move on to the 2007 Honda Civic that has the rear brakes I need to do some refinements on, and I put a new battery in it yesterday. So that said, after those two situations are sorted, I can get back to the 1994 Astro van project, and the 1989 boat is backburnered until later this year. So audience of enthusiasts and automotive and marine enthusiasts, or people just interested in watching a project shape up from where it was to where I hope to bring it. Audiences, thanks for watching, and thumbs up if anything interesting in these videos, so I have feedback on how to improve in the future. Thanks for watching. February 21st, 2026. It's February 21st, 2026. It's a Saturday, around 11:15 in the AM on the Eastern Standard Time. Hello friends and fellow enthusiasts, automotive enthusiasts, marine enthusiasts, professionals of both trades, machine shop owners. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you find it interesting. Thumbs up if you find any information that's good. This is for entertainment and information on my challenges of putting a remanufactured engine in my 1994 Chevy Astro van that I've owned since new, and the engine was ATK, sold by Powertrain Products, and I've had good experiences working with both, but you know, buying from Powertrain Products and technical support from ATK. So let's talk about the upper intake manifold plenum. The screws are 10 screws. They're all different, but they're all M6 times 1.0 of various lengths. Now, they used bolts, screws, stud bolts, and bolts in those 10. So on prior video segments, prior days, we discussed 1 through 6. Today we're going to talk about 7 and 8, which is no longer available, and it had a GM part number, and I'll add it as a photograph later if I can find it in my research. I have so much research that I'm falling over myself, but anyway, this is measures 75 millimeters long, and for the application, I don't see any other way to do it except a stud with a knurled end to get, because this thing has to come in and out of the lower intake manifold plenum for the 1993 through 1995 Delphi lower intake manifold where the spider lives. The fuel injection. The central multiport fuel injection, according to the GM service manual, they call it that. Central multiport fuel injection, but most people call it CPI for short. Doing some research here for 7 and 8. I know I need 75 millimeters long, so I bought some screws that you see here from I bought it from my friends at boltsandnuts.com, and now that I'm got this part number and I'm googling on it, man, I'm finding all kinds of people that sell nuts and bolts and are eager for your business. So I'm going to reach out to each one of them and see if I can find a suitable replacement. And it doesn't have to be exactly 75 millimeters long, but this lower part needs to be a little bit more precise. So let me measure that now and tell you how much it is. If you guessed 15 millimeter, you would have been right. 15 millimeter it is, and the top doesn't really matter. And for some reason, when GM bought this, the center of it is not threaded. It's just threaded 15 millimeters on this end, and let me get the other end. Hold on. And 20 millimeters on this end, and it has a Torquex E6. And 7 and 8 got to come out, be removed every time you remove the upper plenum, because you won't be able to slide it otherwise unless you lift it directly up. And I can't do that on my van because the refrigerant line is in the way on an assembled vehicle. So tech tip should be to the professional mechanics and technicians that got to take this thing in and out. And I had it in and out so many times in 32 years that the top end is chewed away, sadly. But, you know, I could go to a machine shop, have one made probably at a exorbitant cost to me, but to avoid those costs and not incur them, I'll just put this one in, and I'll double nut it to try to, you know, to whatever goes on top of it, if anything. And I don't recall anything going on top of 7 or 8. Yeah. Max headroom, 7 or 8. So anyway, I keep wanting to say 6 and 7, but it's 7 and 8. 9 and 10 aren't a problem, but 7 and 8 are when it comes to the CPI, this Delphi system. Anyway, enthusiasts, thumbs up if you like it. This is not how-to. This is a documentary. And Dennis makes mistakes, and I tell you what mistakes I made. Like on this engine, I made a mistake trying to get a better. It kept blowing the keyway in the flywheel. It would start and run on one cylinder, and when the second cylinder kicked in, it would break. And I break the keyway, the Woodruff key. It would break it. So I checked the camshaft and found that the cylinder number 2 had a wore down lobe for the exhaust. Now, explain to me why that would cause it. So I took it apart, I re-ringed it. There's no wear on the cylinders. I changed oil and filter for all the engines I've owned for 20 to 30 years. I've always done that. And when I take them apart, there's virtually no wear in the cylinders at all on my engines. And I'm a type person that likes to buy something I really want, even if I can't afford it, or it's more than I want to spend. And I keep it forever because I love it, like my Honda Civics, 2005, 2006, and this 32-year-old Astro van I'm working on. Anyway, this is just a documentary with information. But on this engine, I found I had to change the timing gear because these break and cause engine failure on these Kohler Command. And who would know, right? And then I found a company in the, that specializes in Kohler engines, makes a replacement that won't break and is installed in such a way, you know, it's got a pin in there, so the timing can't change. Anyway, things like this you stumble upon as you're losing sleep over a tractor that I bought in 2003. But that's one of my other projects, and I don't have time for it. Today I got to work on the 2007 Honda Civic, or I'm not driving anywhere. So we'll get to that in a moment. But I did want to do a little bit today on the Astro van in a logical sequence, as I anticipate any other enthusiast or professional would do. So on to the next segment. Thanks for watching. Audience of enthusiasts, I'm burning daylight. February 21st, Saturday, and I got an event to go to this afternoon at the Redland Fruit and Spice Park. They're having their annual seafood festival, and I like to go right at closing time and buy a lot of food, because by then they're desperate, because they've hit their peak around, they start at 10, they hit their peak around 1 o'clock, and by closing time they're wanting to get rid of anything they got left. And to get seafood is not, don't go to the festivals to do that, because it's usually overpriced compared to what you can get by shopping around town, wherever you are in the world. I always encourage people to look around, learn your surroundings, find the machine shops, find the experts, find the engineers, find the best grocery stores, the best farmers markets, anyway, I don't know, people just are in such a hurry to spend their money, I guess. Anyway, I gotta do the bolts 7 and 8, and the way I'm gonna do 8 is I've double nutted it, so I got something with my fingers, because I only need to make this finger tight to go in the 15 millimeters. I don't need to lock this down like strong like bull, and then I could take off the upper nut and then just torque it down to 100 inch-pounds. Now 100 inch-pounds is nothing. You take 100 divided by 12, and what is that? Around 8 foot-pounds. So if I used a bigger torque wrench, like I have the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch from Harbor Freight, I wouldn't be in the center of the scale. Whereas if I set this one to 100 inch-pounds, I'm bang on in the center of the range of the instrument, and I won't strip out. If I strip out these, I am gonna be very upset. So I don't want to do that. So audience, next segment. Fellow Astrovan enthusiasts, you know what I said about planning ahead? I had the presence of mind to plan ahead, and I got this 10 millimeter super long super long with a 1/4 inch drive, because that's my torque wrenches for 100 inch-pounds. The optimum one is a 1/4 inch drive, but I needed one long enough to fit over the stud. So this is very long. Hang on while I measure it. Okay, this is 100 millimeter long, minus the little bit for the, the innards. Well, I don't know if this is going to work. It may not work, but anyway, this is made by somebody. Can't read it. I don't know. Can you read that? Or your eyes better than mine? I can't read it. But anyway, I bought it online. 100 millimeter long, 10 millimeter deep well socket, but it stops like 10 millimeters in, about there where my thumb is. But it has hole for the stud, for the stud. So it should work. It should work. Let's go to the van and see. I really want to get 7 and 8 behind me. But I got to do 6 as well, because I haven't torqued that one yet. I left that one loose because of the evaporator canister control valve goes on top of it, and so I left 6 alone for the moment. So enthusiasts, professionals, stand by. Okay, it fits over very nicely, the stud, for 6, and if it fits 6 is the longest. If it fits 6, you can see how long 6 is. 6 is humongous, and that's a stud bolt. And I don't have the specs on it because that one never gives me any trouble. But here is the evaporator canister valve that I was seeking, and I found it finally after going searching for everything. And I need a little room to get above the, so I'll probably use like a 3-inch extension for the 1/4 inch, and we'll do that next. Okay, before you begin, make sure you're on the inch-pound scale, not Newton meters or foot-pounds, as you'll strip it. And let's see if your eyes are better than mine on the camera. I've got this set for a little over, it's set for 110. Yeah, that's a little bit too much, so I'll back off. I'll go counterclockwise a bit and back it down to 100. Okay. I don't remember the actual spec, but it looks like 80 foot-pounds it's set to right now, so I got to increase it a bit. And there's 95. If your eyes are better than mine, I hope I'm holding it at the right light. Anyway, I'll set it to 95 because that's the closest I can figure out. Because I want to be conservative. I don't want to strip these out, and 95 should be plenty. Okay, this setup here seems to be right with this 100mm long deep well socket and a 3-inch extension for 1/4 inch, 10mm, and I'll put on the torque wrench and we'll get at it. And I keep the older torque wrenches, the conventional ones, just to double check my digital ones. And I wish I could afford the electronic one, but oh, those things are expensive. You have to be a professional to have that in your toolbox. Okay, number 6 was already torqued to spec. Number 7, I just torqued to spec, no problem. Let's try number 8. As I recall, last time I torqued it, number 8 had some give to it. I was afraid I was going to strip it out. But I think we're okay today. Maybe I didn't have it in deep enough last time, because with that messed up E6 Torque-X, I couldn't get the stud in well enough with my fingers. And I didn't think about double nutting it, because at the time I didn't know it was M6-1.0, which is a very common screw in metric world. M6-1 is probably the most popular version of stud bolts, nuts, and studs. So that ought to be the easiest one to do. So let's try and get number 8 done, and then I can move on to 9 and 10. Finally finish this up here. And I didn't plan on working on this that much today, but I guess I'm gonna burn off through lunch and then carry on to the Redland event later when it's cooler, and I'll probably work on the 2007 Honda Civic later, because this is really my top priority. I got to make this one a runner before the warranty expires, and I got a 5-year warranty, but 1 year's already gone, and it's only got 0 miles on it because of my mistake a year ago and trying to get the head and what have you. But they've been good as gold at Powertrain Products. So let's get to the last difficult one, which is 8. We'll do number 8 next. Okay, sports fans, today number 8 is done. Torque to spec. And you only have to go around once doing this. You don't have to. That gasket is a pretty good one, as long as you have it right. And I can feel with my finger that it is where it needs to be all the way around before I even started, because the time before last I did this, when I had the leak, because I had made a mistake installing the new lines, this HK11 standard ignition and others new lines. I had double sealed it on the spider, and it felt good, but it popped off as soon as we had pressure on the supply line, which is here. So now that I did 6, 7, and 8, I can move on to 9 and 10. And since I'm this far along, I think I'm going to keep working on this the way it is. So, progress, progress, progress. They call it progress. And I feel good. As who used to sing that? I feel good. I knew that I would. I feel fine. Sugar and spice, whatever, is nice. Okay, so now that this is here, I'm not going to install this yet because I want to take this to the dealer and try to find that tube's part number. I got to go to the parts department, but this thing fits on there somehow. One way or the other, I don't know how. It fits, and it holds the spark plug wires properly along the CPA. Oh, that way, okay. This way or that way, yeah. And then you can put a washer on it, and then you put a nut on it, and then you run it down tight, because it's already been torqued, but this has to hold your, well, you put this on here too, this thingamajig here goes on there like so. Somehow, I'll just leave it loose for now, but it goes on top of that stud, or it may go underneath. Yeah, it goes underneath. Let me trial it. This is what takes all, you know, a shop time of over $100 an hour now. You know, one GM dealer I went to, I asked them shop time, and they said it's up to $250 now. Oh, that feels real nice and tight there. That goes like it was designed to go there, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I want that to, sorry about the shaky hands, I want that to go that way. And with the thing for the spark plug wires on top of it going that way, yeah, it sits down real nice. So I know that that's the right way to do it, is like this. And then the washer, and then the nut. And I don't like these nuts. I'd use a different kind. I like the flare nuts because they fit in the socket better, and they don't fall off as much as, and they don't go down the barrel of the socket if it's an extra long socket like that. But that, you know, this is just opinion, people, not fact. If it was fact, the manual would say do it this way. But this is how Dennis does it, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm going to do 9 and 10 next and call it done for the upper plenum. Then I could start going back and working on the wiring, and I also need to connect the speedometer control. Oh, where's the pedal? Okay, there's the pedal. I need to connect that to the carburetor, or not the carburetor. Oh, the plenum control. What do they call it? What's the official name? Oh, it's where the IAC valve is. It's a flap thing. Oh, I'm getting hot. It's gonna get up to 90 today, and it's February. Anyway, there's this thing here. I said it was for the cruise control, and it is. But it also is the same bracket that holds the cable to change your adjustment here to give you more or less air. And the fuel is controlled by the computer, of course, with the O2 sensor, and you know, the thigh bone's connected to the knee bone, and it all works somehow. So I got to get to bolts 9 and 10, and those are kind of fiddly because I think 9 is here on the right side, looking from this perspective, and then the 10 is in the center, I think, somewhere. Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, 10 is in the center. So I do 9 and then 10, and then we can say done for that part of it. And then I can go to installing this and checking to make sure I got good throttle return when I put my foot on the gas. And then I'll get into the spark plug wires and the rest of the wiring to prepare to start. But before I start, I can't forget, audience, I have to check the push rods to see if I have the rocker arms adjusted properly, and I need to really do that on both sides. I've had this running once already and it ran fine, but something didn't sound or feel right, and I might have forgotten to do the rocker arms properly, and hopefully I don't have any bent push rods to deal with. So audience, thanks for watching. We will carry on. Max headroom, carry on. Audience of enthusiasts, automotive enthusiasts, Astro van enthusiasts, this is entertainment or information documentary. It's not a how-to. February 21st, 2026, it's a Saturday. It's getting warm, about 27 degrees Celsius. It's 11:58 in the AM on the East Coast. I'm your host, Dennis Sytsma, Dennis John Sytsma Productions. I didn't plan to work on the Astro van today, so we're going to go in reverse. I've already been working on the Astro van, and what I did was number 6 was torqued to spec, fine, 100 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds, and then I did 7 and 8, the studs that are 75 millimeter long studs, M6-1.0, and they've got 15 millimeter of threads on one end and 20 millimeter on the other of the studs for 7 and 8. I have 9 and 10 to do yet, but I'm tired and hungry, so I think it's noon. I'm going to eat lunch. I had planned on working on the 2007 Honda Civic and the 2005 Honda Civic, but I'm going to defer on those projects until it's cooler. I'm going to the Redland Seafood Festival a little bit later today. I like to go later in the day for reasons I'll explain later. And anyway, I'm going to take the 2007 Honda to drive there. And right now I got it jacked up and on jack stand, so I got to reverse that because I'm going to use that car. And the 2005, I'm waiting for a tool that I ordered online to replace the fuel pump in the 2005, and I'll document all that for my YouTube channel. So audience, your participation is greatly appreciated. Your thumbs up are even more appreciated, and you can subscribe or not, drop out anytime depending on how you like my content. But also look at my travel playlist and my other playlists besides the Astro van, and you might find something you like. In the future, I'm planning more scuba diving stuff. Take care and carry on. Okay, audience, when it's cooler out, it's a beautiful day here. It's light breeze, puffy clouds. It's a little bit cool. It's not quite 90 degrees yet, but anyway, I got to go through this container of parts and see if I need anything out of there as I'm making progress on my 1994 Chevy Astro van remanufactured engine project. And later I'll get into sorting out problems with the transmission that I hope are minor. Don't know yet. To carry on, audience, let's move on to number 9. Number 9, I'm going to use this Harbor Freight Pittsburgh inch-pound to set it to 100 inch-pound, this 100 millimeter deep well 10 millimeter socket to get to number 9 nicely, and I tightened it down finger tight as much as I could with the socket. Now this is a ratcheting torque wrench, which makes it very handy compared to older torque wrenches, but this is calibrated in inch-pounds, and I'm setting it to 100 for bolt number 9 out of 10. Okay, using the aforementioned setup, it's very easy reach from the front to set it to 100, and I have a lot of confidence in doing it this way as opposed to just torquing it down and praying that I did it tight enough or over tight. But doing it with a torque wrench, I really have confidence that I'm doing it the right way. Next segment. Okay, audience, that's number 10 there, and all torqued to 100 inch-pounds, and definitely can hear a click. Now as you approach 80 or 90 inch-pounds, I say inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds, you'll feel the screw start to stretch, screw or bolt, whatever you want to feel it stretch just a little bit. Now if you think it's stretching and might break, stop what you're doing and get the analog, the other kind of torque wrench, and see where you are on the scale approaching, 80 to 100 inch-pounds. So now that I got that done, I'm done with the upper end, and I got the gasket where it needs to be. Now you see that bolt right there? I'm going to have to position this hose. It's got a hose clamp that goes underneath that bolt, and that'll hold it where it needs to be. I'll leave the upper shroud off for now because I don't need to put that on, and I want to see how it looks with it running, which I hope will be soon. My fans are asking me, when will it run? Well, when will it run? How close are you? Well, there's still more to do. I got to do the spark plug wires and then the other wiring to dress it up a little bit, and wrap some more tape and make it more rodent proof. So if the rodents do eat, they eat the tape, not the actual plastic or the wiring, which is the reason why I like to put the covers on the wiring. And I'm happy with how I've got this done here and routed. And this is just a hose here that's flopping around, so I'll cut that to length and connect it a little bit later. For now it's fine. I need to do the aspiration for the passenger side, but I got to do the wiring and then check the valve lash on both banks even before I try to start it. And then after that, if I don't see anything else that I need to do, I'll pull the exhaust manifold off, and I'll use the labroscope or the endoscope to check for to see if I have any debris in there that might contaminate the catalyst. Those things are pricey, woo! But you buy the whole assembly. That's one way. You get the headers where they connect to the exhaust manifolds and the all one unit, or you take it to a muffler shop and they cut off the old catalytic and weld in a new one. And usually the latter is more affordable. But I do need to double check these bolts holding the alt, because that is more solid from a mechanical engineering perspective, because the bolts go to the head, it goes to the block, there's several places this bracket attaches, whereas the alternator bracket, there's 3 bolts go to the head and that's it. And this has been known to break off at first it gets loose, and then if your belt doesn't drop off, the whole works goes into the fan, and you have to buy a new fan and sometimes even a new radiator to get back on the road again if that happens. So I really think the mechanical engineers that design this are with God now. I doubt they're still walking the earth. When this was designed was probably the late 80s by the time it got out in the 94 as a finished product. And But I would have used bigger bolts than 3/8. I would have gone to 7/16 or maybe even 1/2-inch bolts to the head. But they probably had the heads already made, so you know, for whatever reason they didn't do it that way. So audience, I will carry on to the next segment. I almost forgot. Testing my short-term memory here. This bracket is for the speed control. So you got to hook up the throttle first and then position the bracket into place, and it's held into place by 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3, and then the cruise control module, the servo bolts on the side here. Now I'm not going to repair the cruise control because I really never used it, and it really never worked all that great for me. Every time you hit a hill or something, it would want to come off cruise, and you know, it's not the same system as they have on my Hondas. My Hondas are rock solid, but using engine vacuum, especially on a system like this, this engine doesn't have a terrific amount of vacuum to begin with, and then you add all these accessories on here for controlling servos that are vacuum controlled for your air conditioning and heating, and you know, it's dodgy. It's dodgy engineering. I would have much preferred if they had used some other kind of, but you know, 1994 they didn't have all that. I mean, it was that's come out since with the Europeans and Japanese engineering. So, you know, plus the computers are a lot more sophisticated too, and all the accessories, and you know, they're saying, oh, there's so many microprocessors. It's yeah, but they more or less work independently. You know, they have priorities in a system, so that, you know, number one is that the vehicle can stop and drive and steer. You know, those are the essential systems. And if you're restoring anything, I'd do all that first and let the bodywork go until you got all the drivetrain, and everything else has to be sorted. And then, you know, and if you decide that you can't finish the project, you can buy a donor vehicle and swap everything over, or sell it as a project. But most people hate to buy projects because they didn't take it apart. They don't know how it goes together, unless they have videos like this, which is why I'm doing it, is for fellow enthusiasts. And it's not for how-to, it's to document what I did and what you may have to do if you decide to restore 94. And the earlier and later models are similar, and there were changes. So I encourage other enthusiasts to do so, but it's not a how-to, it's a how I did it, how Dennis did it, a documentary. Thanks for watching. If you did it the right way, when you were taking it apart, you would have very carefully put this clip on there so you won't lose it. If you lose that clip, I don't know what you're going to do. You'll have to go to the dealer and order another one, or online, because that's a very special application clip. And I'm trying to get the camera as close as I can to it, and I hope I'm capturing that clip. But it takes a little screwdriver. You have to lift up on the lip and move it back, and make sure you put a blanket or something underneath to catch it if it gets dropped, because you can't, if you lose that, you're going to be upset. Okay, I got the clip out using this long shaft flat blade screwdriver. Now you want to put something over this so a bird doesn't land and think it's a grub and fly away with it. They do that sometimes, so you have to put something heavy on top of it, like this cone. Put that on top of it to protect it while you got your back turned. Then you can go over and install the cable. And I hold it all the way open with my thumb or my fingers, and give myself plenty of cable. So the way I do that in this kind of technique is you open this with your hand, with your left hand, and the right hand you put in your fingers or your thumb or whatever, and then give yourself plenty of cable, and you can get that lead pellet. can get that lead pellet to go where it belongs. Not in the first hole, because that's pretty obvious. You got that big hole there that looks good. You don't put it in there, you put it in the second one that's further on. So I spent about 10 minutes trying to get it in the first hole, and it needs to be in the second hole. And no schoolboy jokes here, guys. Yeah, be adults. People, I may need to say correction a couple of times here, because that clip is for the cruise control, not for the throttle. So I didn't need to take it off, but I didn't know that till I got it off. And then I realized that by holding the throttle body open and going to the correct hole further back on the half circled thing, I was able to get it to go in. And now I got the cableage, so I removed the that connector blocking that screw, and I'll put that screw in first because it's easier to get to, and I'll use my 100 millimeter 10 millimeter extended to get it finger tight, because you can't tighten it all the way down because you got to do the other two screws. And so just finger tight, maybe 1 or 2 turns just to get it started, and so it holds the bracket where it belongs. Next segment. Okay, sadly the back bracket bolt is number 1, and I already got that torqued to spec, so I have to take that screw out and then put it back in, torque it to spec. And I'm having trouble with the front one to align it perfectly, and the second bolt is missing in the center of it, so I'll have to find a replacement screw for that. And these are, I don't think these are self-tapping, but they're probably the same thread as the others, I would guess, but they're very short. There's like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, something like that. For the screw, you can see it's like 1/2 inch. And the other screws, well, you know where number 1 is because you saw it before. And it's getting warm here, so I'm going to have to take a break for a while, an old man break in between. And I'm not going to forget where I left off because I got that one finger tight, but I haven't got it lined up right. It feels like it's cross-threaded. So do it when you do this, so you don't drop the screw. This bracket is loose, so hold it up and put the screw in first, and then align it with your hole, and start it with your fingers so you don't cross-thread it, because you can feel the difference between a cross-threaded screw and a screw that's going in properly. So you may have to do it 2 or 3 times to get the technique down, but it's doable. Next segment. Okay, I pulled out the screw that was in the front because I couldn't get it to go in straight until I had the number 1 bolt screw, the number 1 screw on the CPI installed to hold the bracket. So I took this out of the front. I'll move this to the number 2 hole and see if that lines up. And it looks like it's a M6-1.0. I would guess it's a 1/2 inch or 3/4 is what I need to. I don't think I have any of those, so I gotta see what I got so I can finish the throttle. But the cable's on, and I'll put this clip back on in a minute for the cruise control, but I want to carry on here. Now, it's real important not to tighten down the bolts all the way tight until you got all 3 in place. That screw, the short one I have, does not want to go into hole number 1. I'll call this hole number 1 in the front, or hole number 2, and they should be the same. So I'm going to have to run a tap through them to clean up the threads a little bit, and I need to find another screw that's like that. So I have to look through my box of stuff. But now I got the throttle connected, and I got the clip back on. That's for the cruise control. And I got some parts here left over that I always keep everything until I'm done. Always keep, don't even return your cores till you're done. Don't do it. You will cry big tears. Now that looks like it's a M6.10, which is a common thread really, but it's not the right one. The right one's a different color. But let me go check the throttle tension on the accelerator and see if I have a gas pedal now, or if it just goes to the floor again. goes to the floor again, I didn't do something right. Now I can see why mechanics would cringe when they would see one of these vans come in, because they would say, oh, good money, but man, yeah, I got pedaled. Yeah, I can hear it. So far so good. I need another human being break. So, next segment. Carrying on, audience. Later in the day, I had to take some time to recover and do human things like eat and wash and what have you. Anyway, I have the IAC electrical connector disconnected, and as we've talked in the past, it's a 4 pin, 4 pin for the IAC and 5 pin for the EGR, because both of them are stepper motors, or what we call stepper motors, which allows the computer to adjust them precisely, with the EGR being a coarse adjustment and the IAC being a fine adjustment, to give you a perfect idle, or it should be, if, assuming the spider's in good shape, the fuel injector, the central multi-port fuel injector. So I'm having trouble with number 1 and 2, even though I got the right screws. It's M6 by 1.0 by 10 I don't know. I think 10 millimeters too much. I think 5 millimeters would be great, or 6. Anyway, I ordered some bolts that are both I think 10 and 15 millimeter, and I'll have to use washers. But anyway, I found screws, so I don't need it. But I need a tap and die on M6 times 1.0 and clear up those holes, because I can't get those screws started properly. They feel like they're cross-threaded, but I know they're not cross-threaded, they're actually binding. So I need to run a tap in there. I have a tap and die for M6-1.0. I had it in my hand earlier, but I can't find it now, so I ordered another one, and it'll be here Monday, and today's Saturday. And the weather's really nice, and it's cooled down a little bit. It's going to be a beautiful evening here in southeast Florida, in the Redland Farm area. And I am going to change my focus for a minute. And there's a bracket that has to be attached here on the passenger side of the engine that holds the oil, whatever you call this thing. These two are bolted together, and they never want to be where they should be unless you get that bracket on there and get it firmly attached and do a little selective bending, we used to call it, when I worked on teletype machines. And teletype machines had a lot of adjustments that were precise and could be done easily according to the book, but we had another system called FDEP, which everybody hated because it had bendable parts, and so we had to do a little selective bending when we were working on FDEP. So I've got to find that. It's not the easiest place to see, but I can get to it. It would be better to get to if I removed the wheel, and I've got it on jack stand, so I could do that with the air compressor and what have you. And I'm going to try it without taking the wheel off, but if I have to, I will. But it's a devil to see, and it's a SAE thread. It's not a metric because it's going into the block. And it's like all the threads on the block are SAE, and a lot of other stuff is metric, like the fuel injection, the Delphi. So it's a beautiful breeze coming through. So anyway, I'm gonna leave these two screws alone. I got the one in the back where it needs to be, which is, you know, on bolt number 1 for 1 out of 10. So, and I'm not going to tighten those 3 down until I get the tap and I can get all 3 of these where they need to be, and then I can plug the IAC back in again. So, and I'm not going to spend time looking for that tap and die. I had my hands on it earlier today, and now I can't find it. And I marked it, and I put it in a plastic bag. So, go figure, eh? So I'll work on this tube next. And then after that, I'll work on the wiring if it's still daylight. And tonight I'm gonna go get dinner out, I think. Alright, you might ask, what do I have in this magic box of Astro van parts? And if I went on a road trip, I'd go through this and I'd take out the non-essential and I would take the essential spares, like a spare computer that I got from a salvage yard years ago when they were not expensive. And I have tested it, and that's a good computer. But you have to move the chip. You have to take these two screws off, move the chip, the EEPROM, from one to another. And this paint stick came with the van, this teal code 36. Yeah, bought the van back in 1994 after Hurricane Andrew. All my cars were destroyed or badly damaged. I had a 70 Maverick that I had ready for paint. I'd done all the body work on it, flat as a pancake. Here's the old harmonic balancer, and I got a new one because the rubber was all deteriorated on that one, and it was affordable to get another one, believe it or not. And got a lot of other stuff in here, but one of the main things is this popper for fixing your door. I don't want to need that on a road trip, but this AA ignition, yeah, spelled funny, that is a great popper. www.aaignitIon.com. Anyway, I looked at their website and I could not for the life of me find that popper. And it was like, when I bought it, it was like $7. Much better than the $150 you pay for the AC Delco one. But this is a direct replacement popper, and this is for the side door, but I think it works for the other two doors too, the driver's and passenger side, I believe. I could be mistaken. Anyway, if I find that tap and die, I will move faster, but for now I've got to leave that alone for now and come back to it later. And but anyway, on a road trip, pack your spares. Like, I have a spare distributor. I would take that with me. It looks like it might rain soon, but looking in here carefully, I see a holder for the wires for cylinders 2 and 4, and I got wires here coming out on this side for 2, 4, and 6 with a retainer here. And I know the longest wire here, I expect goes, because this goes through here, and the other two, this one goes to cylinder 2, and that one's 2, 3, and that one goes to 4 and 6, because 4 and 6 are either side. So we got a bolt. We got to get a bolt through there and bolt it to the side of the engine, and another bolt for other things. Let's see, is that too bright? And then you can see that's for the cylinder 2 all the way in the front, and the other 2 are for 1, 2, 4, and 6. So, but I got a hose here that goes somewhere. It's a water hose from the heater, and it goes somewhere, and it doesn't want it. That hose has to go up because it's got the metal thing. Let's see, can you see it? It's got the metal thing and the bolt that holds it. So that's got to go there. So I can do that next. And then the other hose, I'm at a quandary. Where does the other hose go? And it's a heater hose. So, and then, you know, when I finish this side of the engine, then I'll go to the other side. Now, by finishing the engine, I mean, on the passenger side, I mean checking the rocker arms too. I want to finish completely and put the ignition coil and all that before I switch to the other side. And this side's easier for, they got, if you look at how the engine's in here, you got about 6 inches on this side, and you got like no clearance on the driver's side. So why they have the drivetrain offset towards the driver's side, I can't say. But I also want to replace these bolts with the long, with a lot of washers on there, with the correct length bolts, which I have now. So I got a lot to do and gotta get at it. But I'm getting ready to quit for the day because I have fatigue setting in again. Thanks for watching. Okay, the clamp I'm trying to get underneath the nut, it's a 15mm socket, and I've got this hose pushed too deeply onto the pump. So I need to loosen the clamp and move the hose a little bit off the nipple to give me more room to have that fit the way it's supposed to. And no selective bending is going to help here. I just need a longer hose. And you see why I love these kind of clamps, because otherwise I'd be having to release this traditionally with those other kind of clamps, and I prefer to reach it this way and loosen the screw, and then I can work. But hey, that's me. I guess the stainless steel screw clamps must be more expensive. I don't know. Okay, I have the hose fitted on the clamp securely, and it hasn't come off the water pump. It's still on there. So now I need to tighten this 15mm nut down. Now, my guesstimates is I need a 2-inch or 3-inch. So I have a 1-inch extension and a 2-inch and a 1/2-inch drive and a 15mm socket, and I should be able to get in there and tighten that up, and then I can tighten the screw on the hose, and I'll be good for that. And then I can move on to trying to figure out where this hose goes. I'm sure I'll see it sooner or later, especially if I take the wheel off. So we will see. Okay, I got that done. I found the 2-inch with the deep well 15-inch socket was a better fit. I had enough. 3 inches would have been too long. So start with the way you see it here. Try that first. Now I can tighten the 8mm screw on the screw clamp. We can barely see it here if we look. Let's see if I can see it. Yeah, you see that clamp there? That's what I got to tighten. And you see why I like the screw clamps better than the other clamps, that you got to squeeze and get the right angle and all that fooling around. That may be fine for production work, but here in the field, you know, time is money. Audience, you'll notice I put my tools away as often as I can, because then when I look for them, they're in the toolbox, as opposed to being laying in the vehicle somewhere. Although I break that rule from time to time, you know, and leave things laying around and I can't find them. So we're going to take the tire off next, because that's going to give me better access for both the hose and everything else under the wheel well. And I already got it jacked up on jack stand, so it's not going anywhere. The rear wheels are blocked. So I'll take the tire off and we'll go from there. But I got to find my what do you call it? Air ratchet. with a 19mm socket. I gotta find that, and it's not in the toolbox, so I gotta find it. Gotta find it. Always use quality air tool oil and a dispenser so you can do it by drops. And I got this at Harbor Freight. And if you're having a tough time, put a little more oil down the barrel and this thing will become more powerful. Also wait for it to fully charge up. Yeah, sorry about that. Keep bumping the switch. Charge up fully. And if that don't do it, you can use a persuader. I call this persuader my 2-foot breaker bar. It's about 24 inches or yeah, Pittsburgh, the big breaker bar, and block the wheels with something like a floor jack, or the blocks don't do it. You need something a little bit stouter to keep the wheel from moving, or else you got to put it on the ground. But you put this on there, and then you take what I call the BFM, which is Big F mallet, and it's got shot in there. It's a what they call a dead blow hammer. Has a lot of heft to it, and you hit the end of it, and that should do it. But if it doesn't, you got to put it on the ground, I guess. But the socket's kind of weird. This is a 21mm. Yeah, 21mm socket for the nuts on that. Now the compressor needs to be fully charged to try this again. I'll try that one more time and see if I can get the last two nuts to break off. It's always the last two that are the hardest. They have the most stress on them. And audience, if you need to beat on things, you don't want sparks, and they sell these nice hammers with a brass end on it or a plastic end, and that way you shouldn't be making any sparks. And the brass is softer than steel, so you won't harm what you're working on by hitting it with a brass hammer. They also sell big brass hammers that have some weight to them, and it's fully brass on the end, and I like those too. But this is kind of handy. I use that one all the time because it's fully insulated. You won't get shocked with it. So anyway, I'm waiting for the compressor to cut off. Okay, I got all nuts off, 4 out of 5. Number 5 does not want to budge. So I may spray it with some of this wonderful stuff, this Croil penetrant. Let it sit overnight if I can't get it off with one more shot, because I'm whooped. This is about it for me today, and need to get a shower and get some dinner. I got the last one. You thought I was going to give up, didn't you? Anyway, I used the floor jack and I jammed a breaker bar as a lever to hold the tire steady, and I jacked it up so the tire had friction on it. Then I took the big mallet, the persuader, the big persuader, and I give it a good hit, not on the handle, but on further down, so I could put my hand on it without getting hit. And as you see, off she comes, lickety split, and yeah, 21 millimeter. Now that thing was chattering real bad. They sell a kind of socket that prevents chattering. It's heavy, thick wall metal, and they use it for damper bolts on Hondas. If you can't get a harmonic damper bolt loose on a Honda, you got to use that special socket. And I had to take it to a shop one time because I didn't know that. So, alright people, I'm going to pick up my tools and that's it for tonight, I think.